Welcome to the read.
I remember the moment so clearly. The sickly bite on my arm, the blood rushing to my head, the sense of dread in my bones. I had just been pushed into the crowd of zombies by my mother. My own mother. She watched as I was dragged away, her face void of any emotion. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even look scared. It was almost like she was watching a stranger die. But I wasn't a stranger to her. I was her daughter. I don't know how I survived. The world I knew was one of betrayal and horror. I remember the faces of my brother and father, too, so full of disdain and greed. My brother took everything I had ever worked for, my belongings, my memories, without a second thought. My father, my own father, had tried to sell me for the highest bidder, treating me like some commodity. I was nothing to them. And yet, I was the one who survived. I was the one who was reborn. 6 months before the apocalypse, I'd won the lottery. I hadn't told anyone, not even my family. I didn't trust them. They'd never cared about me, not truly. So, I kept my secret. I took the money, a neat $10 million, and vanished. I bought a mansion deep in the mountains, far away from the cities, from people who would only hurt me. The mansion was secluded, isolated, but the solitude was comforting. It was mine, and only mine. The estate had high walls, a sturdy steel gate, electric fences, and a huge backyard. I turned that backyard into a small farm, raising chickens and pigs. It was quiet. Peaceful. The world beyond my gates was falling apart, but within them, I could breathe. Inside, the mansion was even more secure. Every window was bulletproof. The doors were thick and sturdy, almost impossible to breach. Solar panels lined the roof, providing enough power to keep me comfortable. A generator stood ready, fueled and tested. And beneath the house, a massive basement, like a panic room, but better. Everything was prepared, every detail planned. I had learned from the world that betrayed me. I would not be caught off guard again. I remember the bite as though it happened yesterday. It was in the early days, just after the world had begun to crumble. People had panicked, turned on each other. Everyone was looking out for themselves. Everyone except me. I just wanted to survive. But survival meant sacrifice, and I didn't know how much I was willing to give until that moment. My mother shoved me toward the zombies without a second thought. Her hands were calloused from years of hard work, but they were gentle when she pushed me. It wasn't the strength that hurt. It was the coldness. The absolute detachment. "Go," she said, her voice sharp. "You're a liability." I felt my knees buckle as I stumbled forward into the mass of decaying bodies. It wasn't a quick death. The zombies tore at my skin, their teeth sinking deep into my flesh. I screamed. I begged. But my mother, she just watched. No remorse. Not even a tear. She stood there, her eyes cold and empty, as if she was watching a movie, not her own daughter being ripped apart. I never understood why she did it. But then, I never understood why she had done so much to me. She had always been distant. Always preferred my brother, the golden child. The one who could do no wrong. And I was always in the way. Always the disappointment. I woke up screaming. Panting. Sweating profusely. But I don't feel pain. I blink and look around. No zombies. My arms and face intact. No blood everywhere. Then I got so mad. Remembering my mother who fed me to the zombies as she escaped with my father and brother. I was so angry. My name is Leah. I know then I was reborn. When I went to check my phone, I calculated. I came back 6 months before the zombie appeared. I was given a chance to change my fate. I don't intend to stick around my family for a single second. Keeping them around will surely bring me to my death. I swore it will not happen again. So I hurriedly packed my things. I went straight to the buy lottery. I remember the previous winning numbers because part of it is my birth date. I bet on it and wait. I check into a hotel. Study some post-apocalyptic guidelines and safety precautions and make a list. I also watch some zombie movies and take note of human behavior and the possible human nature in times of distress and of severe hunger. I cashed in. I started my plan. Bought the already secluded high-security mansion in the mountains. Called constructions and reinforced everything. Dig 2 wells in the property. One near the mansion and one on the backyard where the farm is being constructed. Bought livestock and seeds. I started farming, learning how to tend to animals and grow my own food. Every day, I worked tirelessly. 5 kilometers from my mansion, I began constructing something new, a place for others like me. I knew there were good people left in the world. Survivors who hadn't been corrupted by the horrors of the apocalypse. I didn't want to live in isolation forever, but I needed to ensure that the people I invited into my new world were trustworthy. I built the safe haven with the same attention to detail as my mansion. High walls. A sturdy gate. A well in the center for fresh water. 3 two-story apartments stood proudly, ready for the survivors who would join me. And the backyard, just like at my mansion, was turned into a farm. Chickens, pigs, and crops thrived in this space, a symbol of hope for a new world that could still be built. I didn't let just anyone in. Only those who proved themselves were allowed to stay. I wanted a community of kind-hearted people, those who believed in helping each other, not exploiting them. Every day, I worked to make this place better, to grow this small, tight-knit group into something that could survive the apocalypse, and maybe even rebuild what had been lost. In line with this, I also contact my ex-boyfriend, Ryan, who has connection to some higher-ups to warn about the impending catastrophe. We broke up because he was promoted and assigned to a different city, and I didn't want to hinder his career. I choose to stay behind thinking my family is here, so I didn't go with him. That was a big mistake. I deeply regret it. I gave him my prediction based on the bits of news from around the world. Connect everything and to a conclusion of possible catastrophe. Ryan is a sensible person. I don't know if he believed me. I hope he did. I felt like telling him to come to me, but I hesitate. I gather my courage and tell him that I missed him and to keep safe. Then I hang up. He must be thinking I'm going crazy. But it is up to him to convince the higher up. And whatever their response, it's out of my hands. I did what I can. 2 months before the appearance of the zombie. I am all done and ready for the doomsday. I continue to farm and tend livestock in my farm and the survivor base. 1 month before the horror appear. I already contacted my good friend and their family into the survivor base I created. I know Sarah so well and her family. I always stays overnight before and they only show kindness. Even the time when they found out that me and Sarah sneak out of class to watch movie. They got mad but only told us not to do it again. They are more family to me than my real family. So, in pretense, I only asked them to test out the place for a while and help me with farming and they readily agreed. After 2 weeks, they told me that everything is okay and only wonder why the wall's so high and feels like a prison. I then invited them all to my mansion. They were all shocked to see that the mansion wall looks way sturdier and chuckles that it feels like going into maximum prison. I just laugh and welcome them into the mansion. We all sat in the living and I seriously told them that I have been reborn. I told them everything. I could see in their faces that they don't believe me, but as kind-natured people, they just tell me they will stay with me and will help me with anything. I feel happy, relief, and to me it is good enough. They are safe with me and that's all that matter. It started quietly, at first. A few strange reports. People going missing, attacks happening in isolated areas. But no one thought it would spread, not like this. At least, not until it was too late. I was at home, sitting in my room, when the news hit. The first case of a zombie attack. The story sounded unbelievable, but then the footage started showing up. People, their faces contorted with rage, attacking and biting others. The infected turned into something else, horrible, grotesque, mindless. The world panicked. Cities crumbled under the weight of fear. and still, no one could stop it. The infection spread like wildfire. The zombies were everywhere. Only then Sarah and her family believed me. My phone rang. I saw my mother calling me. I did not answer. Only now they try to find me. I was gone for 6 months. I can't be bothered anymore. They survive or not no longer my problem. I had always known that if the world ever collapsed, if zombies really did start roaming the streets, survival would depend on more than just finding food and shelter. It would depend on the people you trusted. So, I searched Facebook. I started by opening a fake account online, browsing through posts, and reaching out to those near me who seemed serious about surviving an apocalypse. Once I found a few people, I needed to scan their personality and facial reactions. I arranged video calls with each of them. I wasn't just looking for survivors, I was looking for allies. And I had a set of questions that would tell me everything I needed to know about them. If zombies were closing in, would you risk your life to save someone? I asked the first person. Their eyes went wide, but they answered honestly, saying they would. That was a good start. Imagine your loved one has been bitten or scratched by a zombie. What would you do? I asked another. This time, the hesitation was longer, but they eventually said they'd do whatever it took to protect the group, even if it meant making tough decisions. That was promising. Finally, I asked, are you willing to help farm and work in the base if you join us? The last person nodded confidently. I'll do whatever it takes, they said. Good. Everyone needed to contribute. If they passed the questions, I took a photo of them and wrote down their names. Then, I gave them the address of the base, making sure to remind them, this stays between us. If anyone finds out, it could be dangerous. Trust was everything. In a world where survival meant living with a few good people, I had to be sure the group I was building was solid. No one could afford to make mistakes. As the group started to form, I knew we were ready. We would survive, together. The survivors had started arriving. One by one, I checked their photos against the list I had, then opened the gate to let them in. Slowly, our base began to fill up. There were so many of us now that some people had to sleep in tents, but despite the crowded conditions, everyone was working hard and helping each other. Things were going smoothly. But then, one day, a group of bandits showed up at the gate. They demanded to be let in, threatening to break through. I knew better than to let them in. I quickly activated the electric fence, making sure we were safe. One of the bandits tried to climb the 4-meter-high fence, but as soon as he touched the barbed wire, he screamed in pain. The electricity shocked him, and he fell to the ground, motionless. The others tried to ram the gate with their car, but it didn't budge. The reinforced gates held strong. After a while, the bandits gave up and left, realizing they couldn't get through. With the base already full, I knew it was time to stop letting new people in. The gate would only open for those who had already passed the test, those who were part of our group. Ryan contacted me with some important news. He said the government had started rescuing survivors and set up multiple bases in strategic locations. At first, they tried to stop the zombie virus, but it failed. Now, their new plan is to eradicate the zombies and find a vaccine. 1 year has passed. My life with Sarah and her family circles around watching TV and farming. The survivors are living well. Military come by for medical checkups and distributing food and supplies. Ryan came to see me. And we decided to get married. Later, the vaccines was made. Zombies all eradicated and survivors are allowed to go out the base. The people all unite with the military to clean up the city and start building the community. I still stayed in the mansion. With Ryan, Sarah, and her family together. We become family stronger bonded after surviving the apocalypse. The end.